Hello, boys and girls, and those who bounce in between. It's Comrade Dankey here with a video all about my favorite state of matter, the solid state. Out of all the forms that water can take, I find the state of ice to be the most aesthetically pleasing. With that being said, this ice isn't like the ice you find in water, ladies and gentlemen. This is the kind you find in yeah, along the border and shoving your kids into dark vans in the middle of the night and putting them in concentration camps. This is the ice I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Um, Immigration Customs Enforcement. Uh, they've been in the news recently for their running of concentration camps. This is their official fucking website. Let's see this. Who are we? Let's just get an overview. ICE was created in 2003 through a merger of investigative and interior enforcement elements of the former U.S. Customs Service and Immigration and Naturalization Service. ICE now has more than 20,000 law enforcement and support personnel in more than 400 offices in the United States and around the world. The agency has an annual budget of approximately $6 billion fucking dollars, primarily devoted to three operational directorates: HSI, ERO, and OPLA. The fourth directorate, M&A, supports three provisional branches to advance the ICE mission. So these are big boys with big money, all right? They've got a lot of capital behind them, both political capital and financial capital. So, uh, so active since 2002, 2003, largely as a response to 9/11. Uh, but of course, under the Trump administration, they have been just overhauled and pushed to this just extreme level of cruelty. And we have concentration camps here in the United States. Things that we like to piss all over North Korea for having, keep in mind. They're an evil, despotic dictatorship. But meanwhile, here in the U.S., we have all these fucking concentration camps, and nobody bats an eye. Uh, Says ICE operates detention centers throughout the United States to detain illegal immigrants who are apprehended and placed into removal proceedings. About 34,000 people, 34,000, are held in immigration detention on any given day. In over 500 detention centers, jails, and prisons nationwide. Due to the United States detention bed quota mandated by Congress, that number will increase rather than decrease. The quota mandates at least 34,000 beds available for immigrants on any given day. That's fucking weird, dude. This is unreal, man. This is just unreal. In 2006, Tidon Hutto Residential Center opened specifically to house non-criminal families. Non-criminal families, ladies and gentlemen. This was in 2006. Other significant facilities are located in Lumpkin, Georgia, Austin, Texas, Elizabeth, New Jersey, Oakdale, Louisiana, Florence, Arizona, Miami, Florida, Seattle, York, Pennsylvania, Batavia, New York, Aurora, Colorado, Aguadilla, Puerto Rico, and along the Texas-Mexico border. So here we have just a few, lists of deaths in detention from October 2003 to 2007. This is, of course, before Obama, before Trump. Uh, a total of 107 deaths occurred in ICE detention centers. In January 2010, New York Times and ACLU obtained documents detailing circumstances of these deaths under the Freedom of Information Act. The documents show how officials, some still in key positions, use their role as overseers to cover up evidence of mistreatment, deflect scrutiny by the news media, or prepare exculpatory public statements after gathering facts that pointed to substandard care or abuse. The New York Times reported the death detention centers included the following cases. Babukar Ba, a 52-year-old tailor from Guinea, was left in an isolation cell for more than 13 hours after falling and suffering a head fracture before the ambulance was called. Jesus Christ. He's got a fucking head fracture. His skull's busted open. You left him there for 13 hours in an isolation cell? What a bunch of fucking pigs, dude. Holy shit. His family wasn't even notified for 5 days. A video shows Ba in the medical unit before medical personnel sent him to the ISO cell. In the tape, his hands are handcuffed behind his back. Oh, what the fuck is he gonna do, guys? His head's busted open. He's face down and he calls out repeatedly, "Oh my god. Fulani, help, they're killing me." He says, "Help, they're killing me." This is like shit that they would probably find at Auschwitz, ladies and gentlemen, and it's right here in the United fucking States. This is barbaric. They left him there for 13 hours after suffering a head fracture. Telephone and email records show that 10 agency managers based in Newark and Washington discussed how to avoid the cost of his care and unwanted media attention before sending Ba back to Guinea and reviewing his canceled work permit to see if it would be possible to get Medicaid or disability benefits. Eventually, they decided to release him to cousins in New York who objected that they had no way to care for Ba. However, days before his release was planned, Ba died. So great job, you fucking assholes. Holy shit, man. Neri Romero was a 22-year-old kid, Salvadoran immigrant with no previous history of mental illness who committed suicide in his cell in the Bergen County Jail, New Jersey. At the time of his detention, he was recovering from surgery in which metal pins had been placed in his leg, seriously broken in a motorcycle accident, and was taking strong prescription painkillers. According to Romero's cellmates and families, authorities failed to provide Romero with painkillers despite his repeated request. In a letter written to his mother shortly before his death, Romero stated, "I'm in hell. I'm in hell. They don't give me nothing for my pain." You've got a guy screaming out with his head busted open saying, "Help, they're killing me." You've got a kid about to kill himself saying, "I'm in hell. They don't give me nothing for my pain." These are statements from prisoners at these concentration camps. Sandra Canelli from Barbados, who did not receive treatment for, oh my god, for a uterine fibroid tumor. Jesus, that sounds painful. Died at the Hampton Roads Regional Jail in Portsmouth, Virginia in December 2006. An autopsy determined the cause of her death was acute coronary insufficiency due to hypertensive cardiovascular disease. Abdullah Saleh died of an untreated kidney ailment in the Piedmont Regional Jail in Virginia. I mean, this is just incompetence after incompetence. And I want to say their names: Babukar Ba, Neri Romero, Sandra Canelli, Abdullah Saleh. Young Suk Kim died at the New Mexico Regional Jail in Albuquerque of pancreatic cancer in 2006. She had asked for weeks to receive medical care. The day she died, wow. The day she died, she was taken to the hospital. Great fucking job, ICE. You're so fucking incompetent. We can't trust these goobers to look after anybody. They can't even look after a fucking houseplant, let alone human beings. Roxana Hernandez, the 33-year-old transgender woman from Honduras who arrived as a member of a migrant caravan, died 2 weeks into her custody. She exhibited symptoms of pneumonia and dehydration and was taken to Albuquerque Hospital and later died. They have corporate contracts. Engineering and construction firm Kellogg Brown and Root (KBR) released a press statement on January 24, 2006, that the company had been awarded a no-bid contingency contract from the Department of Homeland Security to support ICE facilities in the event of emergency. blah, 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 blah. Basically, sexual abuse. The Intercept published a report by DHS Office of Inspector General revealing that, oh my God, 1,224 sexual abuse complaints while in ICE custody were filed between January 2010 and June 2017. Contrary to ICE claims, only 2% of these complaints were investigated. Only 2%. Jesus Christ. Of course, they're criticized for their record number of deportations between 2009 and 2016. The Obama administration oversaw the deporting of a record 24 million immigrants, earning him the nickname Deporter in Chief by Janet Murguia, president of the National Council of La Raza. According to ICE data, about 40% of those deported by ICE in 2015 had no criminal conviction, while a majority of those convicted were guilty of minor charges. So, Obama is guilty in this too, folks. Don't believe that this is all Trump. Even though Trump has escalated this to just obscene levels, the groundwork for all this shit was laid by Bush and was laid by Obama before him. So don't think that they can evade criticism in all of this, because they are guilty for creating this institution. Trump is guilty of empowering it further and expanding its role. As part of the 2018 Trump administration zero tolerance policy, nearly 3,000 minors were separated from their parents or the adults accompanying them while trying to illegally cross in the U.S.-Mexico border and placed in detention centers. Rolling Stone likens these centers to prisons, while the Houston Chronicle reported that a movement swelled online to call them concentration camps, because that's what they are. That's what they are. Let's look up the definition of a concentration camp. All the latest news is about, let's just go to Merriam-Webster. That's someone everybody respects. A place for a large number of people, such as POWs, political prisoners, refugees, or the members of an ethnic or religious minority are detained and confined under armed guard. Used especially in reference to camps created by the Nazis in World War II. Yeah. By definition, these ICE detention camps are places where large numbers of people, like refugees and ethnic minorities, are detained and confined under armed guard. By definition, these are concentration camps, ladies and gentlemen. The U.S. has, how many was it? 500? 500 concentration camps in several states and many, many along the U.S. border. Similarly, former First Lady of the U.S., Laura Bush, compared images of the centers to U.S. Japanese internment camps during the Second World War. 16 out of 34 of the centers located in Texas had been previously cited by Texas officials for more than 150 health violations. The former head of U.S. of ICE, John Sandweg, was critical of child separation, telling NBC News you could easily end up in a situation where the gap between a parent's deportation and a child's deportation is years, and that many children might never see their parents again. We are kidnapping children, refugee children, from their parents, deporting the parents to God knows what, and then we lose these children in the system, and we're never fucking gonna ever be able to get them back with their parents again. So, all of that said, Here is an expert on concentration camps. They double down. Same thing is happening at the southern border. Andrea Pitzer defended Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez' controversial tweet referencing to immigration detention centers as concentration camps. Once again, we just read they are concentration camps by definition. There's no fucking controversy to have here. If you call what Hitler and Nazi Germany did, if you call those concentration camps, if you call what we did to the Japanese back in World War II, if you call that concentration camps, then you must certainly call these motherfuckers concentration camps. And to say it's anything less is disrespectful.
The United States is running concentration camps on our southern border.
Absolutely.
And that is exactly what they are.
And see, it's like AOC's the only one who has the fucking balls. And this is why I say as leftists, we can have disagreements with AOC. I agree she hasn't been good at all on foreign policy issues, but that is largely beside the point. She is the one voice in Congress that is going forward bravely and saying, yes, these are concentration camps. I haven't even heard Bernie say that they were concentration camps. They're not. It's not an inaccurate statement. Once again, she is the only voice in Congress bringing light to this. Some Republicans and Jewish groups have accused the representative of diminishing the evil intent of the Nazis. Okay, just because the Nazi concentration camps might have been worse, that's not a good fucking look, dog. Okay, if one guy murders 5,000 people and another guy murders 50 people, they're both still murderers. It doesn't make... And the analogy is because these ICE detention centers and places like Auschwitz were both concentration camps by definition. Just because they're not putting the poor little migrant children into ovens and gas chambers doesn't fucking mean that they're not concentration camps, dumbasses. Here's the CRC of New York. We urge AOC to refrain from using terminology evocative of the Holocaust tone voice concerns about contemporary political issues. Alright, well maybe that's because contemporary political issues are mirroring what happened during the Holocaust, you dumb fucks. Seriously. Like, do you guys really care about Jewish people? Have you guys really read about the Holocaust? Do you know the kind of like government, the kind of fascist policies that generated the Holocaust to begin with? You don't think that same type of sort of mentality is being spewed by our president about like minorities in general, but more specifically these immigrants? So foolish. So fucking foolish. Here's Liz Cheney. I don't know who she is. Please, AOC, do us all a favor and spend just a few minutes learning some actual history. 6 million Jews were exterminated in the Holocaust. You demean their memory and disgrace yourself with comments like this. No, Liz Cheney, you fucking demean yourself and disgrace yourself with comments like this. Because, yeah, 6 million Jews were exterminated in the Holocaust. I have here an article, 5 migrant children die in ICE border custody. We have back on Wikipedia, ICE immigrants in custody saying things like, help, they're killing me, I'm in hell. Quotes that could very easily have come out of the Jews in Auschwitz. And, you know, this dummy is going around saying, learn some actual history. Well, how about you learn some actual history, dumbass? 6 million Jews were exterminated in the Holocaust. Yeah, and millions more were were Poles and ethnic minorities and and probably immigrants. There were probably some immigrants in there, you dummy. I don't know who Liz Cheney is. I wonder if she's related to Dick Cheney because she's coming off as kind of a dick. This is a dick quote right here. Such a stupid comment. AOC justified her
I'm
comment.
absolutely comfortable using that term because it is rooted in an academic definition.
Yeah.
Oftentimes when people, when the term concentration camp is evoked, what people think of are extermination camps. They think of Auschwitz.
Yeah.
And I think what we need to realize is that one of the biggest lessons that we learn from both Holocaust historians, civil rights academics, and experts is that it takes a process, a slow, gradual process of increasingly dehumanizing steps.
She's my hero, ladies and gentlemen. I know she's a social democrat. I know that I don't have, the same political alignment as she does. She's a social democrat. I'm a Marxist Leninist. Leninist. I'm a Marxist lemonade stand boy. I'm a Marxist Leninist. But she is in Congress, and I'm just a little piddly ass neckbeard on the internet making videos. So I don't have any fucking right to talk shit about my girl AOC because she's fighting the good fight out there and she's trying to bring attention to this issue. She's not perfect on everything, and I don't expect her to be. I don't expect her to come up there and say, "All right, comrades, let's uh, make the U.S. Dictatorship of the proletariat." I don't expect her to say that. But I do expect her to stand up for these immigrants and at least to a certain extent. And she's doing a whole lot more than any other Democrat is doing in Congress, even more than somebody like Bernie Sanders in the Senate. uh, she's doing more than him. She's saying it. She's saying concentration camps. And as we see, when we Google concentration camps, first article that pops up is this. She's drawing giant attention to this issue. This issue that I feel like is by far the most scathing criticism of the Trump administration. And it seems like with every passing day that mainstream media just sort of forgets more and more about it. It's, the if people are only watching the MSM, your memories have got to just be screwed because, you forget. You forget about yesterday's mass shooting. You forget about yesterday's atrocity because Trump said something triggering on Twitter again today. It's ridiculous. But here we have this lady, Andrea Pitzer, who literally wrote the book on the global history of concentration camps, defended freshman lawyer against Republican backlash during an appearance on MSNBC's All In with Chris Hayes. She says, what the U.S. is doing at the U.S.-Mexico border today by detaining hundreds of thousands of undocumented immigrants and children fits very cleanly inside the historical definition of concentration camps. President Donald Trump's administration has established concentration camps on the southern border of the United States for immigrants where they are being brutalized, Ocasio-Cortez wrote in her tweet to the story on Tuesday. It's not hyperbole, it is the conclusion of expert analysis. That's a really cool tweet. I myself am gonna like it and retweet it because, and I'm surprised I wasn't following AOC before. I'm following her now, ladies and gentlemen. So that's it. That's my first video on ICE. Fuck ICE. They need to be abolished. They are literally like Nazis, and these detention centers are concentration camps by definition.